Hey there, Cubs. I'm Jackson Volatel, one of the co-editors of the Cub News this year. I'm here with Mr. Trudell to talk about Mental Health Week. I'm going to ask him a few questions to try to shed some light on what the week's going to be about. So if you don't mind, let's get started. Firstly, there's been some rumors about no devices. Is this true? Is it not true?
It's halfway true.
Okay.
So the whole idea of Mental Health Week, the focus of this particular Mental Health Week is on addiction. And addiction shows itself in many forms. When we enter into periods of our life when we're stressed out, sometimes technology is our go-to, gaming, social media, and sometimes we take it to an unhealthy limit, drugs and alcohol, drinking. And so the focus of this week really is to bring attention to addiction, to be able to have conversation, but also to offer alternatives to how we can cope with stresses in our lives that don't involve using or entering into unhealthy habits that involve addiction. So it's not necessarily a no device week, but we are suggesting that, in our faculty we're sort of challenging everybody. Are there alternatives to using technology or to using devices for teaching, for if there's a homework assignment that would normally involve using technology, is there something that we can replace it with? Mm-hmm. We're asking people to think creatively. We're also asking our parents to think creatively too. How can we set aside cell phones at dinner time, or just set aside our technology so we can just be, instead of playing board games at lunchtime, instead of playing computer games at lunchtime, or Fortnite or other kinds of things. Let's try some board games where you're actually sitting with another person across from you and having to look at that person and interacting with them in that way. So it's a whole series of alternatives. Don't want to impact anybody. It's not designed to make a huge withdrawal, or we're not completely negating away from technology, but just giving some alternatives to its use.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, and then I wanted to also ask, how will the structure of each school day be affected with adjusted schedules or anything like that?
Really, you won't notice anything different with the schedule. The schedule will be routine days,
Okay.
nothing that isn't already on the schedule. But you will see the committee and folks have offered a variety of different things that students will be able to take advantage of. Like one example is Mr. Feeney, you might not know, as a yoga instructor and knows
Okay.
yoga. So he's going to offer some yoga lessons during some of the periods if lunch periods, if students want to take advantage of that. I believe they're going to bring in some therapy dogs as an alternative. So again, it's this idea of offering some other alternatives to the schedule, to the normal schedule, that we might not always think of, that can help or that be of good service to our mental health.
That's awesome. And then just one last question. We know that Mental Health Week is kind of geared towards helping the students. How do you think this will impact teachers as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think, all of us, teachers, administrators, because we all are part of this fray. It affects us, and technology affects us. We're all inundated by it. So it also gives us pause to self-reflect and to also think about our teaching. Do we have a good balance in what we do and how we teach with technology, and also, but how we raise this discussion with our students. Mental health is not something we often like to talk about. It's a tough subject to talk about. And what I like about this week is it's sort of giving us permission to have a conversation about mental health that we're not really comfortable having all the time. So looking forward to it. And I know our teachers are too.
Thank you. And again, I'm Jackson Volatel with the Cub News with Mr. Trudell. Thank you so much for answering your questions.
Thanks,
Appreciate your
Jackson.
time.
All right.